All right. We're back. We're back again.
Yes, we are, as always.
For context of people listening to this, Evan and I are currently barreling through these recordings. I don't know when we're going to get them up, but as of right now, 208 posted yesterday. And if I get 210 and this one edited fast enough, then it will probably be coming out weekly starting at 209.
We literally said season 2 speed run.
We have the time, so we're just pushing through.
Literally, we have enough time to sit down and do it, so might as well.
Especially since Shameless is taking so long gaps between it, our minisodes aren't going to be that often either.
Yeah, so might as well just keep on producing as much content.
Yeah. So how are you, Evan? How's your day going?
I'm doing pretty good. I fell asleep pretty early, not intentionally. I was just laying down, and then I was like, I'm not gonna let myself go to bed. And then I woke up and it was 8 in the morning. So I went back to bed, but I've only been up since 11 and I've been chilling. I've been watching the Sweet Boys podcast with Garrett Watts and Andrew Sawicki, my favorite man on earth.
I listened to the newest one this morning.
Yeah, so I was watching that this morning, and then we had to go drop off a friend of mine's COVID test, and then otherwise we're chill. What about you, Amanda?
Good. I woke up, my sister had to get some repairs done on her car, so I woke up and had to go and drive her to go get her car, and that's what I did, and now it's 3:00, and that's what I've done with my day.
I love to hear it.
And I'm excited that we get to record, even though this episode is gonna be fucking rough.
Yep, 0 out of 10. No, I'm kidding. I like this episode, but it's a very heavy episode.
I'm gonna chill myself out with some nice, heavy, angsty Supernatural once we're done recording this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I just got to the episode where he kicks Cass out of the bunker, and I hated it.
Freaking
also,
Ezekiel bitch ass.
The absolute fucking audacity of Supernatural to give me Dean kicking Cass out of the bunker after seeing Cass homeless for the last 3 episodes.
Cass was murdered. Cass was murdered literally that episode, and he's like, bye.
And finally had somewhere to lay his head down and eat, and he felt safe and everything was good. Dean has to kick Cass out, and then they have the audacity to give me the Wizard of Oz episode immediately afterwards with Charlie.
They literally don't care about anyone.
They have a theme. They give Dean a breakup, and then they send in his gay best friend. Every time.
And then even when Charlie's storyline started again, she's been MIA for 2 seasons at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Goddamn Supernatural.
Yeah, I watched that one last night, so I'm gonna watch more later today. But for now, we are recording The Luck We Had, a shameless recap podcast. That's what we're doing.
Yes, it is.
I'm one of your hosts. My name is Amanda.
I'm Evan. I'm your other host, and today we are doing the one episode me and Amanda really don't want to do compared to the 666 episode.
Season 2, episode 11, just like the Pilgrims intended. This is the one that we're going to go ahead and put a trigger warning on. It spoils the end of the episode, but I'm sorry. There is a suicide attempt in this episode, and if you are not able to handle that conversation, you might just want to skip over this episode and do the next one, because shit gets heavy.
Very heavy.
But it aired on March 25th, 2012. 1 week after my 17th birthday. Written by fucking Nancy M. Pimental and LaToya Morgan.
Always comes in clutch.
Nancy, 6th of 25 Shameless episodes she has been credited on, even through last week.
Mm-hmm.
She also wrote the Gallaghers and the Kevin V. Hall of Shame episodes.
So we know where her corner is.
Yeah. There's also a fun thing that happens in this episode that I'll talk about when we get there. And then LaToya Morgan, our tried and true season 2 writer. Directed by Mark Mylod. This is the 6th of 12 Shameless episodes he has directed, including the pilot of the series. He also directed 3 episodes of the original Shameless series. He's a Shameless OG. He's also done Game of Thrones, Succession. He's very fancy and very, very experienced. The title of this episode, just like the Pilgrims intended, is a line that Kev says way later in the episode. I was really happy when I caught it.
It's like the concept of when you're watching a movie and they say the movie title in the movie, you're like, that's the movie!
So yeah, just like the title, sort of gives away, this is their Thanksgiving episode that aired in March. A traditional Gallagher family Thanksgiving includes a suicide attempt by Monica.
I love how they just throw that right in the synopsis. They warn you right away. They're like, by the way, she's gonna try to kill herself.
Yeah, that's their version of a trigger warning on this one. Carl shooting a bald eagle. A case of willing identity theft. A money grab by Frank. and Karen going into labor. They really just gave away. Like, I know it's the synopsis, but they just gave it all away.
The synopsis dangles around it, not tells you every, like, key point of the story, everyone's storylines right away.
And yeah, I feel like there's a better way they could have worded that wouldn't give away everything that happens in the episode.
It could have been like, Monica has an episode at dinner, Karen's water breaks, and like something like that. Or like, nope, they're just like, Carl shoots a bird.
And the previously on, like we said, the rest of them for the rest of the season are done by Frank because they just ran out of other characters to pick. Even though it's like Carl, Lip, and Fiona are like the only other characters who have given us a
Yeah, so far, I don't think anyone else has.
Maybe Debbie, too. Definitely not Ian yet.
Not Mickey yet.
So Karen is giving the baby up for adoption. That's all in the previously on. Lip wants to have a say in it. Frank's mom, before she died, sent money to his brothers.
Not him.
Not him. Monica is back. She's off her meds. Fiona is fucking furious about Monica's reappearance. Fiona kicked Lip out for dropping out of school, so he's crashing with Jimmy Steve, who is in a hotel in the area. And Jimmy Steve is not in love with the wife that he brought back with him, but he is very afraid of her dad, who runs a drug cartel. But he did find out his wife had a boyfriend that he shipped over from overseas to win Fiona back. And Monica spent the entire squirrel fund and has slipped into a depressive episode.
And that's what you missed on Shameless.
Some heavy shit. So of course we open on ducks. There are some ducks peacefully swimming around in the Gallagher pool, having a good time.
Dirty ass pool.
Until Carl and medium-sized Hank start shooting at them. I refuse to call him Little Hank. He grew too much.
Yeah, he hit puberty.
Hank is an asshole. It's his gun. And he takes both of them and won't give them to Carl and won't let Carl hold the gun, which is the only smart thing Little Hank has ever done.
Yeah, probably.
But Little Hank's like, I'm going to take these 2 ducks and we're going to eat them for Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. So that establishes that Thanksgiving is tomorrow in this storyline. So, yeah, Carl, I'm glad Little Hank didn't hand you a gun. Nobody should hand you a gun.
We know what Carl is capable of at this point. Do not give that boy a gun.
Meanwhile, in the house, Monica, still in a depressive episode, will not get out of bed. Debbie tries. She goes in to wake her up and tries to feed her, and it's very sweet, and it's very sad.
It's really sad. It's so hard to watch this episode.
And it doesn't work, and what we're not going to do is think about season 4. That's our mantra.
No season 4 here.
Downstairs, Fiona is gathering all the stuff that Grammy bought the kids, because when Grammy was rolling in it, she was buying Xboxes, she was buying Wiis, she was buying computers and TVs. And now Monica has spent all of their squirrel fund money, so Fiona's like, well, we now have to sell all of this shit. Carl wants a gun for Christmas.
And that's vetoed right away.
100% no. You'll shoot your fucking eye out.
He'd shoot his own eye out.
Debbie doesn't understand what's going on with Monica. She has not been briefed on what bipolar disorder is yet. But Ian tells her that their mom has bipolar disorder, and wow, that hurt.
Wow.
That hurt.
Don't think about them telling Mickey that in season 4. I don't want to think about that.
This entire episode gave me season 4 flashes, and I'm sorry for anybody who hasn't watched it yet, but like it's gonna come up. It hurts too much.
I think we briefed this in like another episode, but I'm like really curious if they had the intention to kind of parallel Ian in this way in further seasons.
Yeah, I wonder how far ahead they actually thought. Or I wonder if that happened in the UK version. I don't know. I know in the UK version he does go away to military school, but I don't think he ever comes back.
Interesting.
I'm never gonna watch the UK version. I've seen like 2 scenes of it, and I just...
Yeah, I think when I originally started to try to watch Shameless, I didn't know it wasn't on Netflix at the time, so I started it, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I was like, I don't recognize any of these people, and then I was like, oh, watching the wrong one.
Yeah, I like what I've seen of it. Like I've seen the like Ian and Mickey scenes of it.
They're dirty. They're dirtier than the Showtime version. I couldn't watch it.
I can't do it. It's like the British Queer as Folk too. Even though the British Queer as Folk includes oh my god, Charlie Hunnam as the Justin character, I still can't do it. It's the rest of them are too gross. Sorry, that no offense to people in the UK. UK shows are generally better than American shows, just not these 2 instances.
Because I think, like, the UK version of Shameless, like, in a sense, they get away with a little bit more, and, like, they're dirty.
Yeah. Like, the UK skins, superior. We will never touch it. The UK Office, different. And I haven't watched it recently enough to remember if it's better or not.
The main guy ended up becoming the writer for the US version too.
Ricky Gervais, yeah. And Americans can never touch Great British Bake Off. We've tried, we fail. We make everything about money and competition, and we'll never touch the goodness that is that. But back to the US Shameless. So Ian goes upstairs next to try to wake up Monica. And he sits on the side of the bed and he talks to her and tries to get her to take her back to the gay bar he took her to. And fuck Evan, how am I not supposed to think about season 4 right now?
This, like, it sucks because of how paralleled. It's so paralleled. They probably, like, in the context of, like, did they plan ahead? I'm gonna say if they didn't, they definitely went back and looked on how they definitely wrote Monica and everyone else's interaction with her to parallel how I'm dealing with Ian, but it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad.
God, ugh. And downstairs, Debbie is doing research on what bipolar disorder is because she doesn't know.
Season 4.
Shut the fuck up. Fiona asks, Ian comes downstairs. He can't even look at anybody. He can't talk to anybody. He runs out the back door. It's so sad what just happened upstairs with his mom not being able to get out of bed. But Ian leaves. But on his way out, Fiona asks him to take down the pool in the backyard because there's a homeless guy that has been taking a bath in it. And they're like, could you just please, I don't want to see that, just take the pool down, thank you. But he leaves for work. And Fiona is on the phone with somebody trying to pick up a shift here and there at one of her 1,000 odd jobs. But the guy doesn't have anything for her. And then Frank comes home and says he fixed the car that Monica and Carl had crashed in the previous
How do you even get that back from impound?
Right? Let's not ask for logic. So Debbie and Carl complain about having to sell all of the electronics that Grammy bought them, but Fiona puts her foot down. She's like, do you want food? And would you like to remain in a home? We're going to sell your fucking laptop.
Like, I understand because those kids are never treated, but I'm like, your mother stole all of your money. Give up your Xbox. You're not going to play ever again.
Yeah. And Debbie asks, like, passive-aggressively when asked to give up her laptop. She's like, is Lip coming over for Thanksgiving? But Fiona won't give her an answer. So Frank storms upstairs, physically pulls Monica out of bed, and because he needs her to use her to go get money. And, okay, you know what? Fuck it. We are going to talk about season 4. Because this is the moment that everybody compares Monica and Ian because of the bipolar thing. And like we said, there's a lot of parallels that they put in. But then they also compare Monica and Frank to Ian and Mickey. And no. Everything is so different. Like, because when Ian was in this depressive slump, did Mickey pull him out of bed against his will and get him to do a scam with him for money? No. He took care of him. He made sure he hid all the freaking knives, and he made sure everything was okay, and did what he could do with the limited knowledge that he had. Frank knows what the fuck is going on, and he's like, yeah, but I need you for a thing, so, like, we can deal with this later. Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I get it in the sense of a relationship parallel, but not the individual characters, because, like, no, you cannot put Frank and Monica at the same level as Mickey and Ian, because those boys outweigh them against the odds.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what always frustrates me, is when I see things like this, the selfishness that Frank has in him, and when people, like, I understand the comparisons of Ian and Monica because of their similar diagnosis, but, like, it's night and day. Fiona sees this happening and says that Monica needs to go back on her meds, and Frank is like, no, we're not gonna, I know what to do. I'm her husband. I know how to make this work.
Wrong answer, Frank.
Over at the Milkovich house, Lip is making a video for his son while in bed with Mandy, because I guess he's crashing at the Milkoviches now. She is very into him. I guess they're hooking up on the regular now. This is their 3rd time hooking up. And she says after the 3rd time being with a guy, she says they either have to stop or figure out what they are. And Lip is barely listening to her, and I hate how he treats this woman.
Yeah, I was watching, like, early season 3, yesterday or whatever, and just watching Lip and Mandy's interaction, I was like, why did they try so hard to make them endgame? Lip was a bitch. Like, he did care for her, but every scene he was so annoyed by her. And I was like,
He treats her the way Karen treats him.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't do that to Mandy. Don't do that to her.
I'm not justifying everything that Mandy ends up doing, but, like, could you pay attention to her, like, a little bit more? And then over at Jimmy Steve's hotel room, Fiona is looking for Lip, wondering why the fuck Jimmy hasn't kicked him out yet. And Jimmy's like, I'm not just gonna do whatever you ask me to do. And what he's doing is taking care of Lip. He's like, do you want me to kick him out onto the street, or do you want to know your brother is, like, safe?
Like, I understand her frustration and they still got beef, but, like, your brother's gonna be homeless. We'll let him know, at least be happy that he has a roof over his goddamn head.
And then a naked Estefania comes out of nowhere, jumping around like excited little girl that Marco is on his way. I guess they got him from whatever airport he was at.
Yeah, because I think he went to, like, Florida. He was gonna go to Florida, like, the last episode or whatever.
Yeah, at the end of the last episode, I think he was in, like, Miami. So Fiona goes to leave, and Steve says that he wants to be with her, but she can't think that she can just boss him around and he'll do whatever she wants.
But like, isn't that what he's been trying to do to her? Like, move all the fucking time and, like, make her give up so many things? Like, sir, you can't be serving what you're dishing out. Like,
yeah, no, you've made points. Yeah, it's complicated. All their bullshit is complicated.
Like, I love them in the end, but I'm just like, you guys are stupid.
Yeah. So in the car, driving down the street, Frank is trying to pep talk Monica out of a depressive episode, and that's just not how that works. Because they're going over to Clayton's house to scam him out of Grammy's money that she sent him. And he gives her some upper, that'll drag her out of her episode for a hot minute and get her perky. Out back, Debbie and Carl they start to empty out the pool, but first they have to kick out the homeless man who is bathing in the pool.
Do you remember, I don't know, like, if you've even seen this because it was later seasons, but this, like, a man, like, bathing in their pool is, like, a reoccurring thing. I think in, like, season 7 or 8, there's just, like, another homeless guy that's, like, bathing in the pool, and Ian and him have, like, a conversation. It's really funny.
Yeah, I like that. And, instead of draining the pool properly, Carl just hits it with a fucking axe, and it just...
But, like, I hate those, because those pools are just tarps and, like, metal piping. Like, they have to repair the whole damn thing now.
I don't even know why they have to take it all the way down, because, like, I had that same kind of pool in my backyard. You just have to drain it.
Yeah, drain it and cover it. That's all you gotta do.
But Carl hits the pool with an axe to empty it out, and Debbie stays behind to bond with the naked but kind homeless man, Conrad.
Dig out and everything.
But, like, it's because he was bathing, and she apologizes, and he's like, it's okay, I'll go to the Y. I like to bathe, I'll figure something out. And then he, like, is there, she says she thinks she's depressed, and he wants to tell her about depression. And she's like, could you put pants on? Like, but he seems like a nice guy, so...
No, I think just because they're such a community, they're just like, hey, what's up? We don't care.
And then over to Jimmy and Lip, they're waiting for Marco to arrive in some truck stop area. So he hops out of a truck strapped with cash. Just stacks on stacks on stacks, strapped to his chest. And he pays the driver, and then Estefania runs over and jumps on him, and they reunite. And Jimmy and Lip and Marco and Estefania pile into the car. And Marco and Estefania just start fucking in the backseat.
Yep. Freaking Lip and Jimmy are just sitting in the front. No, they full on right in the backseat.
And then we cut back to Clayton's house where Frank and Monica bust inside. She is high now and a little less tired than she was earlier. So Frank and Monica double team Clayton, raiding his kitchen and annoying him and berating him about the Grammy money. And Clayton's like, I don't know what you want from me. I spent it all to catch up on bills. It's all gone. And Frank is like, okay, fine. Then I'm going to go to the bathroom and then we'll leave. It's just to leave Monica and Clayton alone together. Remember, they are Ian's parents.
That's Ian's father right there.
So they've hooked up before, and you can tell that there's a tension between them. And she tries to seduce him. And for a hot second, it works. But eventually he pushes her away and rejects her. He's like, I'm married. I need you to get out of my house right now. And that, like, being rejected, like, destroys whatever highs she had from whatever it was Frank gave her. And she fucking collapses on the floor. And, like, starts crying.
This episode is so rough.
And Frank gets down on the floor with her and eventually, like, he has to, like, tell her she's beautiful and cradle her face, and then he has to, like, pick her up and haul her out of the house. Take her back to bed where she should be. And then on Jimmy and Liv's drive home, Marco and Estefania simply fucking in the back seat while they drive. And Jimmy tries to talk about Fiona with Lip, and Lip points out all the ways. He's like, you know, she's not just good. You've proved so many times you can't be trusted. I don't know what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, like,
here.
what does he expect? Like, he's upped and left and told so many lies. Like, there's not much more he can try to put on the table.
Lip asks Jimmy to pull over and let him out of the car. He's like, I'm too horned up. I cannot be in this car anymore. So Jimmy tries to ask Lip to go home, and Lip doesn't give him an answer, but gets out of the car. And then we go to the Jackson house, where Sheila and Karen are prepping. Remember last time, Sheila has been fucking Jody.
Yes, their little shindig is starting.
So they're prepping Thanksgiving dinner, and Sheila is playing very nice, saying Karen can have whatever she wants for dinner, and Karen drops that she knows that Sheila fucked Jody. She's like, I know you had sex with him. Like, and Sheila's like, what? No.
No way.
What do you mean? But then she apologizes and says it was an accident. And Karen's like, his dick accidentally fell inside of you? Like, what? And then to break up that conversation, Lip comes over and Karen tells Sheila, just take Jody off of her hand. And she calls Jody in from the tent.
Oh my god.
And then Lip's like, Karen, we need to talk. She's like, what, did you fuck my mom too? And he said, yeah, payback's a bitch.
I love you, Lip.
Good line. Jody comes running in because he thinks the baby is coming because he's been called into the house. But no, he just gets permission to help Sheila in the kitchen. And Sheila's like, ah! It's like when Kristen Wiig gets super, like, nervous on Ellen. That's the vibe. She's like, what? No, what do you mean? It's so cute. And so Lip asks, like, who the parents are that Karen picked, where the baby's going. And Karen's like, oh, it's giving to the parents that gave me more money. And Lip's like, yeah, but I liked that other couple seemed like they would be better parents. And Karen's like, fine, I'm getting a C-section Friday anyway. I'll pick fucking whoever. So she, like, calls the one set of parents that she had already promised the baby to and lies and fake cries about wanting to keep the baby herself.
Yeah.
She hangs up the phone, turns that off, and it's like, all right, give me the next number. I'll tell the other people that the baby is there. Is like, you monster.
You monster, but damn her power.
And then over back at the Gallaghers, Fiona is carving something into the shape of a turkey. I think it's Spam.
I think it is Spam. Like yeah.
That she's carving into the shape of a turkey so that they could have a turkey-shaped thing on Thanksgiving. Because they don't have money for a turkey, because turkeys are fucking expensive.
They're really expensive.
Debbie comes inside from taking down the pool. She took down half of it, and she's like, Carl, you have to fucking finish the other half. Fiona also baked a couple of pies to sell to some old ladies for $20 a piece.
I thought that was cute.
Genius.
But damn, $20 for a pie?
That's not that bad. For a home-baked pie?
Okay. I guess I'm not a pie person, so I don't really know.
Yeah, homemade pie, $20, because that'll feed, like, your whole family.
True.
So Debbie says she tells Fiona about the chat she had with Conrad, the homeless man that bathes in their pool. And she said that chat opened her eyes on depression and she no longer thinks she has it. And Fiona's a little concerned about the conversation with the naked homeless man, but she brushes past it. She's like, okay, if Debbie's, like, over this, then fine.
Yeah, might as well.
And Debbie says it usually skips a generation, and if not, the odds are 1 in 5. Debbie predicts it'll be Lip and lays down a guilt trip about the fact that he, like, has been kicked out, so it's more likely he will get depression. And, like, once again, we ask, were they planning the whole time?
Yeah, were they planning the whole time that it was Ian.
Like, were they planning that, or did they simply make that decision at the end of season 3?
I don't know, personally to you, before, like, obviously season 4 and, like, minus him upping and going to the army, did you notice any small things that were kind of going to imply that Ian was going to have a spiral?
Not in season 2. In season 3, going back into season 3, yes. Especially after the trauma of episode 6. But no, not as far back as season 2. Except for, like, the comment in the pilot that he's more like Monica than Frank could ever know.
Yeah, and then obviously finding out that, like, he's not related to Frank and stuff like that, so...
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder, because, like, do you think, like... Because obviously he does go off into, like, the army military, quote-unquote. Do you think they were using that as the build-up to bring in Ian back with having like a bipolar episode or whatever? Do you think that was the original intention, or do you think that might have just been another switcheroo? Because the way it ended off didn't seem like he was going through it while he was applying his stuff, but it wasn't. And then he was MIA for like the first 3 episodes.
First 6 episodes, he's not in season 4. That's because he was on Gotham. So I think it was a combination of. Yes, I do think at the end of season 3, they thought that this is what they were going to do to him. Because, like, the army... I'm sorry that we're skipping ahead and talking about season 3, and that's going to be in just a couple of weeks, but, like...
But, like, this also it gives a lot of more retrospect to what we deal with in later seasons, so it is informative.
This is not a spoiler-free podcast, if you guys haven't figured out.
Yeah, you've been new. We're almost at 2 seasons, and you know this is not spoiler-free.
I think by the time they made that decision in season 3, they had decided, yes, that that's what they were going to do with him, because it gave them that leeway of him disappearing for a while, and like a reason to bring him back is a mental break. I think, so yeah, season 3 to 4, I think the plan was there. I just don't know if it was there now. I would like to know, but there's no consistency on this show, so I don't even know what writer we would even ask.
Gone for like a whole half a season. Like, they had a lot of build up to brainstorm the thing to bring him back with.
Yeah, because that was his longest arc on Gotham, I think, was during season 4 of Shameless. In season 2 or 3 of Gotham.
Yeah, and then he was recurring on Gotham a little later on.
Yeah, but I think that was a workout of timing, too, because there was no interruption in Shameless for him to do that. Just like, fucking... Emma is doing the Connors right now, too.
No, there was, though, when he went to jail in season 9.
No. That was... Gotham was already done by then.
Oh, shit, was it?
Yeah, he had already shot it. It finished its season, like, a month after his final season 9 thing aired. It was, like, almost immediately after.
I never watched Gotham, so I had no fucking clue.
I love Gotham. It's so terrible. I love it.
I remember, like, when, like, Cameron first went on, I watched a couple compilations of his scenes, but otherwise I haven't seen the show at all.
Did you see the Shameless Twitter made a joke about it? They put the screenshot of the Joker over Mickey's shoulder and Ian, and they went, "Why so serious, Cam? Shut the fuck up."
They knew what they were doing.
So, like, just like we said, like, they were fucking with him. Anyway, back into season 2.
Back to season 2.
So Fiona leaves Lip a message saying, "I hope that you know you're invited to Thanksgiving dinner." And then we get a really cool transition of her leaving that message to him hearing that message walking down the hotel hallway. It was very cool, very clever. Jimmy is in the room blaring the hotel television, and Lip's like, "Why the fuck is this stereo up so loud?" So Jimmy mutes it, and all you can hear is Estefania and Marco fucking.
Yep. It's so funny.
Apparently they've been fucking and fighting on and off ever since they got back. And Jimmy is just sitting there in the room listening to it. Like, you know you have the option to get up and leave, right?
I feel like it's a weird studio hotel apartment. Like, did you notice that too? It's like all one room, but
except there is a separate bedroom that Lip goes into.
I don't know.
It's very weird. Yeah, he goes into a separate bedroom that's in the hotel room and sets up the camcorder again so he can finish the message that he's going to leave for his son. And god damn it, Lip was always going to be a great dad.
Freddie.
Oh, Freddie. Love of my life, Freddie.
I love that baby. That one episode when it was just like Freddie and Lip the entire episode, that baby is the cutest thing in the entire world.
The bathtub scene in season 10. Oh my god. That's the scene that, like, reminded me that Jeremy was a fresh dad, too. Like, that, oh my god, it's so
The one
good.
thing I hate about that scene, though, is when Frank's like, "You should get some sleep." And I'm like, fuck you, Frank. Fuck you, Frank. Fuck you, Frank.
But Lip was always going to be a great dad, and this message he's leaving for his kid proves it. Like, you can come and see me. I always want to be here for you. Here are some life tips. Like, it's so sweet.
I love it.
And, like, he leaves the door open for the kid to ever get in touch with him if he ever wants to. Again, Lip still doesn't know whether or not this is even his child.
Karen still hasn't given a definite answer. She's like, maybe it could be yours.
He's offering to be a father to this kid if the kid wants him to.
What a good guy.
Right?
Because he didn't have a good father figure in his life, so he wants to be a good one, even if it's not his kid.
It's really upsetting. When he finishes his message, he hears Marco in the other room. There's no more fucking. It's just Marco yelling about the fact, and we see subtitles. He's mad that Estefania and Steve have had sex. And she's like, he was my husband. Like, what do you want from me? Marco has a corkscrew stuck in his ass.
Yeah, that boy's punctured. Not like in his butt. No, it's stabbed in his butt.
Yeah. And he's like standing there with his foot on Jimmy's chest as Jimmy lays on the ground with a corkscrew in his ass. And Lip's like, does that hurt? And Marco's like, does what hurt? What are you talking about? And so Lip acts as a translator because Jimmy Steve has no fucking idea why this naked man is suddenly screaming at him. And he's like begging for his life from Marco. And Lip's like, he's mad because you and Estefania have fucked. And that's what he's angry about. So Jimmy's like, you know what? We'll clear this up. Marco, take my ID and my passport. Take my identity and disappear with Estefania. So if her dad ever comes looking, she'll still be married to a man with my name. She'll still be married to a Steve. You sort of look like me. Just take it and go. And honestly, that's not a bad plan. Change the picture on the ID and you're golden. So, and then Lip and Jimmy Steve get their shit and they get the fuck out of the room. And Lip's like, what was that? And Steve's like, you told me to do something bold to get Fiona back. That was it.
So that's gonna get Fiona back. 100%.
Well, it does shuck his wife off of him entirely.
True, but he's still a douchebag.
Meanwhile, in the backyard, Carl is finishing tearing down the pool when a police car chase speeds by, and the bad guy that is being chased by the police throws a bag of drugs and an automatic weapon that land at Carl's feet. Just like an automatic weapon with an enormous clip and a Ziploc
right at his feet.
Ziploc gallon bag of drugs that just get thrown at Carl's feet. And so Carl picks up the gun and the drugs, throws the drugs over his shoulder, and keeps walking. My guy, your family needs money, and that's a bag of free drugs.
Yeah, drugs are literally no problem in the Gallagher household. Walk them in, they'll be like, okay, cool, there's dinner.
Like, I guarantee you have somebody that will buy that bag of free drugs from you. You want to get sad? So later that night, we see Ian standing outside a gay club, contemplating whether or not he should go in by himself, when he is preyed upon by yet another older man who only wants to use him for his body. I hate this, but at least Ned is dead now. And fun fact, Nancy Ann Pimental wrote this episode. Nancy Ann Pimental wrote the Galavich episode. She introduced us to Ned Lishman. She murdered Ned Lishman.
Yes, so this is our very first introduction to our big boy Ned.
Yeah, sorry for just dropping that in, but in season 11, it is mentioned offhandedly that Ned is no longer living. So Nancy put him in, she took him out, she cleaned up her mess.
It makes it seem like Ned was such a significant character. Like, no, you see Ned for about 2 seasons, and then he's forgotten about for about 6 seasons, and then he's brought up again in the Hall of Shame, so...
Like, in passing.
And literally in a 2-sentence combo.
So yeah, the guy's like, oh, look at you, Red, you're cute, you come on in the club with me. Fuck you. Back at home, Frank is dragging Monica back inside and starting to show the only compassion he has ever been capable of showing. And he leaves her in the living room so he can go get a beer, and she crawls into the crawl space under the stairs and says, I don't want to be me anymore. Why is Chloe Webb so good at this?
Chloe Webb is such a good actor, and she hurts me every single time.
Depressed Monica just tears at your heart. It is so sad. It is so monumentally sad to watch. And Frank crawls under the stairs with her. He tries to move her out, but she won't move. And so then he just starts to sing to her. And if they weren't so fucked up, it would be sweet.
Mm-hmm. If I didn't hate both of them, I would feel more feelings.
And then over at Ned's... By the way, we in the show have not received a name for this guy yet. We just know that this guy is Ned Lishman. So
yes. So he is just unnamed older gay man Ian has fucked so far. He has not been introduced with a name.
And then at his condo, this is a scene that I described off mic to Evan and Sebastian. It reminded... Showtime is the network that did Queer as Folk. And this scene reminds me of Brian Kinney's apartment in Queer as Folk. It's so lavish and over the top, and an older man hooking up with a younger man, although with a wildly different age gap. And, like, it was just so Brian and Justin that I couldn't tear that out of my brain. Except Ned wishes he was Brian Kinney. He wishes. What did we say that guy's name was? It's Harry Hamlin. Harry Hamlin wishes he was Gale Harold, which is a hard name to say. But at Ned's condo, Ian is fully naked, standing in a floor-to-ceiling window, and Ned lies and says he does real estate, or we are given the information that this man Ian is hooking up with sells real estate and lives in Miami, and this is just one of his company's condos. Mm-hmm. Ian asks if he can stay the night, and the guy says, yeah, if you're ready for round 3, you're a predator. You're a predator.
Yeah, ew.
This kid is 16. You're a predator. But Ian is, like, in good spirits, so they wrestle.
They do, like, a weird little, like, wrestle together on the bed, and I'm like, I don't like that.
I hate it.
Oh my god, your cup. I just noticed it.
It's my little...
For our listeners, she has a Canada Dry in a little, like, what is it, a leprechaun hat?
It's a leprechaun koozie. I put it in here so I don't knock my sodas over, because it's, like, bottom heavy. It's got, like, the brim of a hat. It's a hat for a leprechaun.
I love that.
So, back at the Gallaghers, Jimmy knocks on the door and announces, like, I kicked Lip out! And again, Fiona's like, okay, cool. So that means I have to take you back now because you did the thing I asked you to do. But then she drops the fight almost immediately.
And just, yep.
And just,
she just kisses him.
Yeah, they just start kissing. But she breaks it off after a second, like after that like wild frantic energy they have when they kiss. And then
they always do that. It's like so intense, so fast. And then they're like, nope, stop.
Hard wall. And he asks, can I stay over? Can I sleep on the couch so I can be here for Thanksgiving in the morning? And she's like, fine. I agree to that. That, like, little bit of self-preservation she's got. And then speaking of Lip, he's throwing rocks at Mandy's window asking for a place to stay. She thinks it's because he wants to see her, and I swear to God I can't watch him break this woman's heart.
He just keeps on doing it.
The next morning starts with a bang when Carl shoots a fucking bald eagle.
How did he even just... His aim, he got a bald eagle.
Like, he thought it was like a crow or a duck or something, and Conrad, the homeless man's like, no, that's a fucking bald eagle you just killed. Jimmy gets woken up by happy Thanksgiving activity with V laughing in the kitchen, and everybody's, like, doing a thing. And he tells everybody to call him Jimmy from now on. That's the name. Call me Jimmy. And Fiona has a cute-ass, like, turkey hat on her head, and Debbie and Carla have matching hats. It's very cute. And Kev is plucking feathers off of the bald eagle because they've decided to eat it for dinner.
Yep.
Because that's a bird. You can eat that for Thanksgiving. And they find out that the eagle was, like, let go from a sanctuary, has never been outside of captivity, and it has a tracker on its leg, and tampering with the tracker is punishable by law.
That's so funny that it literally is, like, a tracked bird.
So Kev takes a cleaver and hacks the foot off with the tracker on it and hands it to Carl and says, run it away from the house. Get it away from here. Hide the evidence. So he does. And Jimmy is very much objecting to eating bald eagle. And Kev says, the episode of the title, like, holding up the symbol of America. It's like, just like the Pilgrims intended.
Mm-hmm. Eating an illegal bird.
Yep. I can't imagine bald eagle would even taste very good.
I don't think it is. I think they're not even a very, like, meaty bird. They're a very, like, muscular bird.
Yeah, that can't be tasty. Meanwhile, Monica and Frank are still asleep under the stairs. Nobody has noticed that they're under the stairs yet. But he wakes up and tries to have sex with her because he's a creep. And he even uses her limp hand to try and jerk himself off, but she won't do it because she's in a depressive episode, you absolute asshole.
Bitch o'clock.
And that's when he finally realizes it's time for her to go back on her meds. Yeah, no fucking shit, dude. And then over at the Milkovich house, Mandy wakes up, she wakes Lip up by asking him when they should tell Ian that they're a thing. And Lip artfully dodges that question. And Iggy and Joey, Mandy's brothers, burst into her room and demand she does a beer run for them. All these Milkoviches in one room and no Mickey. It's a fucking shame.
We're given so much Milkovich besides the one man we need.
Yeah. She tells that she's, like, completely naked holding her boobs with her hands to cover up. And she tells them to fuck off. And Lip's like, I'll do it. I'll go on the beer run. I'll do that for you. Just to get out of the room so he doesn't have to talk about relationship stuff with Mandy. Because he's what?
He's
a coward.
avoiding the question.
Yep. At the Jacksons, Frank is breaking in when a very happy and satisfied Jody and Sheila come down the stairs. And I hear the words, I didn't know you could do that with a turkey baster.
Jody.
They're in some kinky shit already. Because remember, he's a sex addict and she's just a kinky motherfucker.
Yeah, she's just a hardcore top.
Hardcore top. And Frank says he's there to wish them a happy Thanksgiving. And Sheila's like, yeah, but where the fuck have you been? And he and Sheila sort of have like a breakup conversation because she's like, I know Monica is back and I've been sleeping with Jody. So. And Frank's like, pretends to be upset about it, that she would betray him in such a way. And he's like, you know what I'm gonna need probably is antidepressants. You have lithium, right? And Sheila gives in. She's like, fucking whatever. Sure, I'll go get you some. And so she goes to open up her med drawer and Karen's water breaks.
Wow, perfect timing.
Which thrills Sheila. And while Sheila and Jody are fussing over Karen and her water breaking, Frank just takes the entire drawer of pills.
And just robs them blind.
Yep. Back with Lip, he waits in the car while the Milkovich boys go into the liquor store. And Mandy, who adores Lip. Like, she loves this guy. She tries to make plans for the week. She's like, do you want to go see a movie this week? What are you doing? Oh, Karen's having her baby on Friday? What time? Maybe we could do something after. Like,
she's like so sweet and just wants to hang out.
And then she tries to blow him while her brothers are in the store. And he's objecting because, like, your brothers are right there. Your brothers are robbing the liquor store. And he's like, I thought this was a beer run. She's like, it's code. They meant they were going to rob the fucking liquor store. I don't know what you expected.
God damn it.
And so they get shot, like the car gets shot at by the owner of the liquor store. And so Lip gets out of the fucking car. He's like, fuck you. I did not sign up for this. He gets up and just starts running down the street. And Mandy shifts over into the driver's seat and starts like driving after him, yelling at him. She's pissed. She's like, you're just gonna fuck me and leave? Like, your brothers are committing a crime. Lip wants to get away from this.
And it parallels that almost in the sense in season, I think it's season 4 when, season 5. You know what I'm talking about with Mickey and the other guys, and when they go shoot up the convenience store, they just it was the like coffee shop that was being built, and they call it Pussy.
That's when Mickey was in not a great place.
Yeah, no, that was super depressed Mickey. I missed that one guy who was hanging out with them, like the tall blonde guy who worked with Lip on the construction site and then went with them to shoot guns. He was just like a background character, but I was like, where did he go? He was cool. It was like another middle-aged guy who was semi-interesting, not just a drunk in a bar.
But yeah, back in season 2, Mandy is pissed and she like drives away a little bit, but then her brothers run and catch up and get in the car and she's the getaway driver now. And when they speed away and Lip starts hearing sirens, he gets the call that Karen is in labor. Back at the Gallaghers, they're staring down at the bird, trying to figure out how to cook a bald eagle. But that's when Jimmy comes in with just a turkey. He's like, I went to the grocery store and I bought a turkey because what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah, how are they even going to prepare that bird?
But then, alternative question, if you just bought that from the grocery store, ain't that shit frozen?
I think grocery stores like times closer to Thanksgiving, I think they don't put them in the freezer section. I think they probably remove them and put them more refrigerated.
Probably. He's like, yeah, I'm not eating a bald eagle. And Kev's like, well, we're not throwing it away. And he gives a big grand speech about it being the symbol of American freedom. And he's like, I'm just going to put it in the fucking freezer. We'll eat it tomorrow. Over at the hospital, Karen is in the middle of labor and Sheila is there at the hospital, which is not her own home. And Sheila's thrilled about it. She's like, I'm out of the house. I'm out of the house. I'm so proud of her. Back at the Gallaghers, Fiona is setting the table when Ian comes home because he was out all night and nobody noticed. She's just now noticing. She's like, were you out all night? He's like, yeah. You didn't notice that your little brother was gone all night? Okay.
Your 16-year-old brother's been gone all night?
But he lays on the cute and says he wasn't going to miss a family holiday. So she gives him a hug, acknowledges his hickey, and tells him to go wash up. Again, I say, If Fiona had been made aware of the older men that were preying on her brother, would she have done anything about it?
1,000,000,000%. Because we know how defensive she gets with Debbie in those corners and scenarios and past and previous episodes. But, like, I mean, past in other episodes. But, like, yeah, I feel like she would have definitely given him, like, a talk. Been like, you're better than this.
But she's just happy he's home, and she tells him to go wash up. And then Frank comes home and gives Monica her meds with the beer, but nice try. And Fiona, that's when they notice that Monica is under the stairs. She's like, how long has she been under the stairs like that? So Fiona drags her out from under the stairs. Again, stop dragging her around. Just let her be. But she drags her out from under the stairs, and Frank tells her she looks beautiful. She is crying. And Fiona's like, somebody sit her at the table. We're all going to sit at the table and eat dinner together. But before we get to that, over to the hospital. Lip runs in. He sees the adoptive parents and gives them the tape he made for the baby. And it's like, if you ever find it appropriate, will you give this to him?
Mm-hmm. I think that was so sweet.
And like they, for that part, were very sweet about that. And they were like, yeah, and they took the tape. And then Lip goes in to the delivery room. And while simultaneously they cut back and forth, he goes into the delivery room and Kev brings the bird to the table at the Gallaghers dinner table.
They have a pretty large spread, too, which I'm really surprised about.
Right? Kevin V must have kicked in a lot of it.
Yeah.
Frank says grace, and then they start in on the food. And somewhere in the chaos of everybody handing around food and doing this and that, Monica, who is sitting next to Ian, gets up and says into Ian's ear, I'm just going to go wash my hands. And gets up and sneaks off into the kitchen. And so they're all eating happily. Debbie's homeless friend Conrad comes in and they're like, the more the merrier, come and sit down and have a plate.
I thought that was so sweet.
Right? Because at their core...
My friend Conrad, and they were like, oh, hi. Like, they all just, like, didn't care.
They're like, oh, hi, Conrad. Yeah, come in, have a plate of, like... Because at their core, they are good people. Even if they do shitty things, they are good people. So Kev insists they're still gonna eat the eagle at some point, Kev brings up again. And they all laugh, and they're having a good time. And then they hear a crash from the kitchen, and they go in the kitchen and find Monica bleeding out on the floor, and Steve is the one that jumps into action. He grabs towels, he holds pressure on the wounds, V takes the kids and gets them out, and Frank goes mute while Fiona calls 911, and she's like trying to ask Frank, like, what did she take? What did you give her? And he just fucking walks away. But Jimmy, Steve, and Kev are the ones on the floor holding pressure on her wounds, holding down her legs, because they are good men.
Yeah, they, like, really, like, I'm surprised how fast, like, Jimmy Steve, like, sprung into action compared to all of them, because, like, God, everyone else is in shock, and he's like, fuck, I need to help this woman.
That's the one thing I've remembered about him through all of the series. Like, all of the fucked up shit he's done, all of the, like, precarious situations Jimmy gets himself into, he saw Monica bleeding out on the floor and was the first and only one to jump in and do something about it. He, like, holds her arms together and tells her, he's like, you're gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. Like...
And she's just sobbing.
It's so... And, of course, Kev, too. Kev is there holding down her legs, like, oh my God. While Fiona and V, like, tend to the kids. And, then we join everybody at the hospital, still shocked, sitting in the ER, just kind of, like, staring at their hands. Nobody can reach Lip. But they hear from the doctor, Monica didn't die, she's been stabilized, but she's sedated, and they have to hold her for 72 hours. They all take that in, they swallow the news.
Because they're probably, she's on suicide watch now.
Yeah, when you attempt a suicide and you get taken to the hospital, you get kept for 72 hours no matter what. And then Jimmy Steve's like, well, a little bit of good news. I got Lip on the phone, and she's like, oh, is he coming? He's like, he's upstairs. Karen is having her baby.
So they all immediately forget, and all their moods change, and they get up and run.
They run to the delivery room. They're like, what a coincidence, we're already at the hospital. And they run up to the delivery room. Karen, as usual, is being a bitch and demanding drugs. Now she's just a bitch who's in labor, who's got, like, a reason to be a bitch. And Sheila tries to coach her through it, and then all of the Gallaghers burst in. No hospital would let this many people in.
They have Liam, Debbie, and Carl, so there's also, like, babies there, too.
No hospital would have given all of them all of the gowns and caps and stuff and let that many people into an active delivery room.
Oh my God, your comment, I buys this shot. I'm all for a good birthing scene in a show, but what we don't need to see is a fake vagina and a baby coming out of it. I hated it.
Why did we need that?
So unnecessary. We already know she's having the baby, but just that's all we need to know. We don't need to see that gross.
And they cut back to it like 3 times.
The Miracle Life, beautiful. That shot,
unnecessary. So we see Karen give birth, and then the baby comes out. Everybody is thrilled because there's a new baby in the world, but Karen immediately shuts down once the baby is out, and the doctors have the baby, and everybody kind of gets quiet, and they notice something. He has Down syndrome. He's got the facial features that indicate that he has Down syndrome.
I think Debbie makes a comment. She goes, "What's wrong with him?" And then Fiona's like, "He has Down syndrome, Debs."
And then it is also made very clear that Lip could not possibly be the father because this baby is also Asian.
Yes.
And Karen is not Asian, nor is Lip. So, very low likelihood that this is Lip's son.
All of their face, they're all just shocked. And you can see Lip is so defeated.
The energy in that room was such a roller coaster. It was like crazy, crazy, crazy. And then everybody's screaming, happy, and then just like plummeting down. But meanwhile, Sheila's like, I think he's beautiful. I think he's perfect.
I love her.
Oh my god, she's such a good grandmother already. And the doctor cleans the baby up, and like there's nothing physically like that they have to take care of wrong with him. They just see he has Down syndrome, and that was the thing, but like otherwise he's fine. And so she tries to get Karen to hold him, but she says, fuck no, take that kid away from me. I don't want to touch it. And then Lip asks, what the fuck? I thought you said the kid was mine. And she said, no, I never said that.
What a bitch.
So she's like, go get the adoptive parents and tell them to pick up their fucking kid. And we don't get dialogue, but we see a scene. He goes out into the hallway, and you can see, like, it's like we are down the hall, just sort of watching it happen. And he tells them that he obviously tells them the news, and the mom starts crying, and she gives Lip the tape back, and she shakes her head at her husband, and she runs away. So, like...
I think it's... She walks away, and then the husband, I think, hands him the tape back. While she's already, like, halfway down the hall, and then he runs out after her. And, like, I'm so, like, I don't know. Like, I understand their frustration so much, in a sense. But, like, goddamn. Like, fuck Karen. Fuck Karen.
And, like, yeah, that's, like, a whole other conversation of, like, if you're adopting a child and then you found out the child has Down syndrome or another condition like that, and then they immediately don't want the kid anymore because it's not, like, a perfect child.
Yeah, because, like, it's also in the sense, like, you're told one thing and then you expect one thing and then you're given, like, the complete opposite. So, like, I think it's more so not in, like, they don't want to take on the responsibility. It's just, like, this isn't what they wanted. This isn't, like, not saying, like, no one wants him. Just, like, that's not what they were, like, expecting and holding on to, and just have that, like, kind of taken away in a sense. But I feel like if from the get-go, if it was communicated, they'd be like, hell yeah, let's get this baby started.
Yeah, like if Karen had gone to doctor's appointments and found out at all.
That's also really surprising, because I feel like a lot of the times with, like, because of the advance in, like, medical stuff like that, they can project sometimes if there's something wrong with the fetus inside. Like, sometimes they can project them having Down syndrome before they're even born. So I'm surprised, like, obviously maybe Shameless didn't put too much thought into it. Like, if she went to a doctor's appointment and they made a comment about saying, like, something's off, or your baby has this percentage of being born with this, like, I'm interested if that was something, but knowing Shameless, their brains were not even anywhere that deep.
And of course, that's not, like, saying that somebody born with Down syndrome has anything, like, wrong with them. It is just...
No. Yeah. I'm just saying in the sense of just... She easily could have had the situation handled so much better if she just would have been communicative.
Or maybe not smoke weed and not do the things you're not supposed to do when you're pregnant.
Goddamn, Karen just is a whole list of bad decisions.
But this baby, I love this baby. The amount we get to see of this baby.
We learn his name in future episodes, obviously, but Jaime is the cutest baby in the entire world, and just watching Sheila be, like, Love her. Sorry, we're getting ahead of that part, but...
No, but I love this baby. So yeah, these parents obviously aren't going to take on, or in this scene we see them walk away. This is clearly showing us the adoption has fallen through. So Fiona comes out into the hallway and she just looks at Lip and she tries to walk towards him and he turns and runs away. And Jimmy grabs her. He's like, let him go. Let him walk out of this. So Lip storms outside, rips up the tape that he made for the baby, throws it away, and walks off into the night. And like, yeah, you know what? He's gotta walk this off.
Yeah, he needs a little break.
Yeah. At the bar, Frank is drinking his Monica sorrows away because he's a piece of shit. And then he gets up and walks out and walks around at night. And no, we're not going to think about Mickey holding Ian's jacket to him while falling on the floor of the Milkovich house. That's what we're not going to think about.
We're not thinking about season 4. Never heard of it.
Season 4? Nope. Don't know her.
Don't know her. Such a good season. Don't know her, though.
Don't know her. Season 5, too? We don't know her. Who's that? But Frank is walking around. Again, this is not me comparing Mickey to Frank. They are not the same person. No.
Just parallels, not comparing.
It's just parallels, yeah. At the hospital, Sheila is enacting a mission. We cut back and forth from Frank walking around to Sheila around the hospital. Sheila steals the baby, which she didn't have to do that. That's her grandchild. She just could have taken him. But Jody is outside waiting on his motorcycle to drive Getaway. And fuck, I love them. Sheila runs out, holding a baby in her arm, and clutching around Jody's waist on the back of a motorcycle as they drive away. Like, what?
Steal a baby on a motorcycle. That's the most powerful scene in Shameless by far.
And that's it. We cut to credits and there's no after credit sequence. The end of this episode is Sheila steals the baby.
As much of an intense episode this is, like, the ending of it is so hard, like, lighthearted and so just, like, sweet. Because we're like, she loves this baby so much.
So yeah, this episode is a lot. It's a lot. And, like, there's so much happening in this episode. And then the next episode feels so slowed down in comparison. But I feel like I think they aired these like a week apart, but I feel like they could have aired like a 2-hour finale, and this and the next episode would have made a cohesive thing with each other. Because the next episode starts immediately after this one ends. Like, it starts that night, which is, I think, the first time that Shameless has ever done that. Is like we end the episode, and the next episode is like an hour or 2 later.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Maybe they possibly could do it later seasons, but I feel like this is the first time, like, that transition from episode to episode, like, is, like, it's pretty smooth.
Yeah. So what did you think of this one?
We all know how we feel about the ups and downs of it, but I feel like if you take away a lot of the whole Monica sadness and depression and stuff like that, it's a really good episode, and I feel like it's pretty strong for a lot of characters, too, in a way. I feel we got some Ian this episode, which was nice, but it was very minimal, but it was also like it's a start of a Ian storyline, which is like nice to know now.
Yeah.
Sad about Mandy because that girl can't catch a break, and then just Sheila stealing the baby. That's probably my favorite, the best part that could have come out of this episode is just Sheila and Jody.
Yeah, everything about the Monica situation makes me sad. But yeah, I liked the rest of it sets itself up for a really good finale. Everything happening with Lip breaks my fucking heart. It breaks my heart. Because, for the record, yes, he was too young to be a dad in this season. But he would have been such a good dad. I'm so glad he doesn't have a baby with Karen, because Karen is the worst. She's the worst. But I liked it. I really like this episode. It breaks my heart. It's the hardest one in season 2 to watch, by far.
If you take away just the main Thanksgiving part, it's a good episode.
Yeah. I think this is the first and only holiday-based episode we ever get.
I'm trying to think. Besides birthdays, I want to say you are right.
Yeah, like they did like a little Christmas thing at the end of season 2. That little like Christmas video that they put up that they shared again around Christmas time this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
Do anything else. I'm trying to think if the Alibi ever held like a thingy. Did they possibly had like a Valentine's Day episode? But like that's not even like a holiday.
Oh yeah, and I guess earlier on there was the St. Patrick's Day episode.
But at the same time, like I wouldn't consider those like holidays. Like when you're thinking holidays, you're like what, Christmas, Easter.
I mean, I consider St. Patrick's Day a holiday because it's the day before my birthday. My Irish ass, and it's the day before my birthday, so I'm like, that's my favorite holiday.
Yeah, like I don't even like. I think like season 2 is when we get a bunch of it because like the mention of Halloween, like the episode prior or whatever. So like I don't even ever think we have like another Halloween episode when like they're dressed up and they're blah blah blah.
Everybody was convinced we were going to get a Halloween episode this season. Well, it's not going to happen.
But no, the timing in Shameless Universe isn't real right now.
Well, it's because everybody thought that them looking at costumes at the dollar store was for a Halloween thing, but it was for Franny's birthday.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh, we did just find out that we're going to get a Fiona Hall of Shame, though.
Oh, I didn't see that. Were you guys talking about that in the chat that I might have missed?
Yeah, we're going to get Fiona Hall of Shame. And some people are like, she's going to come back. I was like, no, probably one of them mentions that they called her or something, and they just start to reminisce about
Yeah,
Fiona.
I was about to say, it's probably going to be like one of them starts talking about her, or like they all talk about her together, and like they just kind of like go down memory lane.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to come back.
Yeah, I know. I don't think Emmy wouldn't come back at all. Unless they are and they've kept it a secret, but I don't expect her coming back. She's too busy being a queen on Instagram.
Yeah. And at this point, like, I just don't think it would be worth it to even risk it to bring her back, like, for her own health. I don't think it would be worth it.
For, like, what? It basically, from midway season 9-ish to now, it'd be, like, a little more than a season. Like, there'd be no reason to bring her back, so far gone already.
Like, the most I could probably imagine if she wanted to, like, make a cameo in the finale is, like, a phone call or a Skype or something.
Like,
but
I would, like, maybe, like, hear her voice or something, or, like, it ending with her, like, showing up, like, hey.
Yeah, or, like, literally something Emmy could film in her own home, like on a Zoom with the kids or something.
Ooh.
Right? I feel like that's the safest way to do it, number one, and the one that would make the most sense.
Promoting Zoom, especially in, like, what I was told about the Hall of Shame, like, how, like, the kids are, like, actively using it up for school and stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
Don't you wish we could go back to a time where none of us knew what the fuck Zoom was?
God, fuck Zoom. I'm glad that I'm not in school, so the only reason I've used it is not for school purposes. I've just used it to, like, talk to my friends.
Like, I remember back in March where people were like, oh yeah, I gotta hop on a Zoom call. I'm like, what the fuck is Zoom? What are you talking about? But, yeah, sorry, that was our season 11 speculation corner. Yeah, so we're gonna get one about Frank, one of the next, so we got Ian and Mickey, Kevin V, Lip, we're gonna get Liam, Carl, and Debbie, Frank, and Fiona. I'm very here for Liam, Carl, and Debbie's all being put in the same one, because I don't want an hour of Carl or an hour of Debbie.
Because I feel like because they're still so young, they haven't had a storyline that's been very present with them for such
Especially
a long time.
Liam.
Yeah, like for one storyline that they could center like a whole episode about. But like, isn't it like it's focused on Liam too, because it's like Carl and Debbie helping Liam with something.
Yeah, and Christian Isaiah's only even been there for what, 2-3 seasons?
I think he joined in season 8. Season 8 or 9, I think, was when he, like, joined the cat.
Yeah. So, yeah, there wouldn't be enough material to do a whole hour on Liam, but, like, I'm so glad we're not doing a whole hour of Carl or a whole hour of Debbie.
They've already pulling the Lip episode about being with its kids, so they want to make Debbie's to be, like, revolving with Franny, so I feel like that's Debbie's main storyline right now is just the whole Franny bullshit. So like, we already had a whole Franny episode. Like, there's not like need for like the same parallel of Lip and Lip's episode.
Yeah, like Carl, Debbie, and Carl, Liam, and Franny are the only quote unquote kids that she has left to take care of in the house, and like Carl barely. But so yeah, we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, and I don't even
expect.
At this point, I don't even know when this is going to air, because I have to edit some of the other ones, and, we'll get this up as fast as we can. We'll figure it out, and then we'll start season 3.
Oh, did we say today's date?
Oh yeah, today is January 13th. So if any other catastrophic event has happened in the world since January 13th, That's why we didn't talk about it, because we're here in the past. We'll talk about it eventually in a mini-sode that we do, probably, but for now, we are in the past. And we thank you all for joining us. We thank you all for listening. And we're hoping that you guys are sticking through to season 2. Season 3 is gonna be a doozy.
Season 3 is great. I'm very excited.
Hang in there with us. Season 3 is when shit gets wild. But until then, you can listen to all of these episodes, and you can follow us at luckwehadpod on Instagram, at luckwehadpod on Twitter. You can email us at luckwehadpod@gmail.com. And on those Twitter and Instagram, you can find the link to our website, which where you'll find everywhere that you can listen to us, a link to our Ko-Fi, and a link to Dissecting the Uncommon Thug, a study of Mickey Milkovich, a paper written by myself, dissecting Mickey seasons 1 through 4. Evan, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me on Instagram or TikTok at IWannaDie4000, and then I'm not very active on Twitter, but you can always follow me there at InternetLifeU. Amanda, where can they find you online?
You can find me at AbnormalAmanda on Twitter, at AbnormalAmanda18 on Instagram, at AbnormalAmanda_18 on TikTok. And I want you guys to also give a follow to the person that made our logo, my sister Zoe. We tag her in all of the show notes. It's at Burden on Society is her art Instagram. She's fucking incredible. And at Zoe is so cool like is her TikTok. She is a wonderful cosplayer.
I love her so much.
But until we speak to you all again, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging in with us. And we'll see you next time for the season 2 finale.
Wow, season 2 is coming to a wrap.
Yes. All right, but until then, goodbye.
Bye.